How's it going, everybody? So, the Warriors Den with the reveal stream for Year 4 has just ended, and I'm writing down my thoughts on the patch notes that they showed us. Clarissa and Stefan talked about a few things, but at the moment there aren't any written patch notes on their website just yet. Maybe they'll be out by the time this video comes out, or maybe we have to wait until next week. I have no idea how much more we'll get with this season's launch patch. That all remains to be seen. I will update the description with a link to the notes once they're out. But there certainly are a few statements that I want to make in regards to what they've discussed. A few specific character changes as well as some overall balance tweaks. Just a little plug here for myself: once the new season starts next Thursday, I will do a testing stream to confirm all the patch note changes. We should have a full list of all the changes by then, so don't miss out on that. I will obviously cover any major things that we find in the video as well, but if you want to see it live, follow me over on Twitch, please. Let's start with one of the community's favourite characters, Lawbringer. The funny ad mortem man got some nerfs, and by the reactions that I've seen in Twitch chat and on Reddit, oh boy. Lawbringer was destroyed, he's useless now, he needed compensation buffs. And many more ridiculous statements. If you belong to the group of people that think like that, then you're either clueless or ignorant. Probably both. So let's get over what they changed. His light riposte had its damage reduced from 20 to 15. His blind justice, aka the ad mortem finisher, now does 30 instead of 38. And the guaranteed follow-up now does 10 instead of 12. So, before we look at the rest, the last two number changes affect his light parry punish. Now instead of 50 damage, Lawbringer does 40. This means that the damage values went from absolutely fucking retarded to just retarded. 40 damage on a light parry is still extremely high. Yeah, other characters have the same numbers, but that doesn't mean that it's a good thing or that it should stay like that. If you ask me, 35 should be the absolute maximum for a light parry. They are not that hard to get. Parrying a light is not the epitome of skill in this game that should be rewarded with a third of someone's health bar. The risk-reward ratio is terribly skewed here. This isn't something new, we've complained about this issue plenty of times. But let's continue with Lawbringer, because there's one more damage nerf, and that's to his impale. Both versions now do 5 instead of 10 damage. Big fucking whoop. So his heavy parry punish now went from 40 to 35, because let's not kid ourselves, walls are everywhere. You either ledge someone or get a wall splat. A lot of characters don't even get half of that on a heavy parry. Speaking of half, the stamina cost of impale got halved as well. Only takes 15 now instead of 30. Lower stamina costs are always good, so yeah, good change. But back to the complaints from players. How did this ruin the character? How on earth is he not still incredibly strong in what he does? He still deletes most heroes in 3 light parry punishes. He still is an absolute monster when it comes to parries. He has 0 problems to get damage from a parry in ganks as well. The riposte is still amazing. And you still have a 20 damage, hyper armored zone attack that turns unblockable after a parry that, on top of all that, has almost 0 recovery. So even if you don't hit everyone around you, the person probably won't get a GB or any other punish on you anyways. Lawbringer still has the highest base HP, still has access to the best perks, still is by far the best mid character, still is among the best duelists, still is probably a must pick in Dominion. So no, the character is far from being ruined. It's not even funny. These changes barely even scratch the surface of what's wrong with him. He is still a character with training wheels that every idiot can do well with. Don't even think that you play a weak hero now. Let's just keep on with the rant because Jorm is next. The changes on George are an absolute joke as well. They pretty much focused on lowering the stamina damage he does. But when you look at the values, I'm not going to read them out, just look at the screen, then what the fuck. This is barely anything. He still is an absolute bully and will maybe, if even that, require one more move to put you out of stamina. Nothing has been mentioned about stamina pause either. He still pauses your regen for 2 seconds. He will still be unfun to fight against. Nothing changed in that regard. All we can hope for are overall stamina changes sometime in the future. But these number tweaks here, they are a slap in the face. And same goes for the shield after Hammer Slam. The tier 2 feat has been changed from a 45 to a 40 damage shield. Since when are we doing small increments? Where are the usual nukes that we see on feat changes? let alone the fact that the problem with this feat stems almost entirely from its interaction with revenge shields. I've done an entire video explaining this bug and how it's extremely prevalent on Jorm. I'd rather see that bug fixed instead of the feat changed. He did get a buff as well, those are to his wall staggers. He has an easier time getting his punishes on, both from the heavy finisher splat as well as from a throw. Good for him I guess, but won't really change his playstyle. Next change, Gladiator's toe stab now feeds the correct amount of revenge. That fix can't come soon enough. I've also explained this in the past and why it's so extremely good. Toe stab functions like a bash, but didn't feed the same amount of revenge as a bash. A 1100 millisecond stagger time without the need for a follow-up attack, which means no damage reduction for the ally heavy. It will still be extremely strong, in fact stronger than other push into heavy ganks, just now it feeds the appropriate amount of revenge. One further change was to Haymaker. Instead of 10 extra damage, it now just does 5. It remains to be seen whether the extra damage here will make a difference in revenge gain, because the extra shield basher damage does increase the amount of revenge the bash feeds. This hasn't been the case for Haymaker, but no mention of this being changed. Might as well cover some more feat changes here real quick. The major one is probably Punch Through. I covered that it currently does 200% of the normal chip damage. This will get reduced to 100. I personally don't like the change, but I can understand that they bring it back down. What I don't understand is the value though. Ubisoft knows that the feat hasn't been picked at all with the old value, so they reverted back to the exact value, making it useless once more. Why not a middle ground? You're already changing the numbers, might as well try 150%. Blocking someone with punches should be scary. It should make you think about parrying a little more. Guess I'm just a little disappointed that we're back to the best in slot, or on some characters let's pick the least worst option. Another major feat change came with traps. We will no longer be able to hide them on the ground, which is huge. And I mean that in the best way possible. We should have never been able to make them invisible. Now it actually pays off to pay attention to your surroundings. It remains to be seen whether we can still somewhat hide them in rubble or in minion corpses. Depending on how the first few matches go, I can see traps being unbanned from tournament play even. We'll have to wait and see how much they drop in viability. Bear Trap, for example, has a huge model, and if not hidden, it's almost impossible to not see it. Considering how powerful it is though, it might be a good trade-off, but also wouldn't be against a slight model adjustment. But I also don't want it to look like a little toy on the floor. Next thing is buffs to chasing moves. A lot of characters currently have issues when they want to catch someone rolling away from them. You simply whiff the move right in front of them, more often than not without even getting close to them. An example here is Kensei. His Nature's Wrath is one meme of a move, so let's hope we'll get some use out of it now. Similar to Black Prior, his forward dodge heavy feels like it had negative range. BP's chase potential in general is abysmal, so it should say a lot that they buff a character that is considered extremely strong already. Whether all these moves actually roll catch needs to be tested. I'm not fully convinced yet, and let's also hope they haven't forgotten others. And oh, don't give us shit like Valiant Breakthrough where the character magically slides 20 meters forward to catch someone. That looks horrible and feels terrible. And the last thing I want to quickly cover are the charged heavy option selects. The change affects Highlander, Conqueror and Shinobi. The two most affected by this are Highlander and Shinobi because let's not kid ourselves, Conqueror has a plethora of other option selects to choose from. And if played correctly, he will still leave his opponent guessing. I've also mentioned how incredibly strong those were, or rather currently still are. A Highlander can hold down heavy and immediately leave offensive stance again by pressing the feint button. This allows him to parry on light timing, counter guard break straight after, and even block other attacks thrown at him. The delay between the parry attempt and the defensive actions was extremely short, almost non-existent, which made it extremely versatile against pretty much all attacks. That very delay is being changed now. But another issue is that on top of all that, it isn't punishable either, because unlike zone option select for example, you don't throw out an attack the opponent can parry or catch the action with a GB. So this is an amazing change, making parrying riskier again. It's important to find a good balance here. If parrying is too risky, then people are less likely to try it on risky moves, ultimately opting for blocking. But obviously making them too safe isn't a good thing either. Let's end it here then. There are more small bug fixes that they mentioned, like Raiders combo zone finally being safe again by changing the hit reaction to heavy. I'm sure we'll see plenty more of these once we get the full patch notes. There are also many more things that I want to talk about in future videos, more importantly the upcoming battle pass. There were a little sparse with infos this time, but we can take a look ourselves next week anyways. I also plan to do a giveaway for it. I just don't know how yet. If I can just buy codes, then that's amazing, but who knows how it'll work, especially for consoles. Once we have more infos about that, I'll let you know. With that said, I hope the video was helpful. Thanks for watching. Laters, everybody.
You captured Zone C.